Hi, welcome back to the Liz Earle Wellbeing YouTube channel. And do you know, we've talked a lot on this channel about the benefits of being outside and just enjoying some fresh air, some clear headspace, and whether that's in a park, whether it's in a garden, whether it's in the rural countryside, but just having that chance to have a change of scene and clear your mind. And I think particularly at the moment, with everything being just a bit low and a bit strange, I have been finding a lot of comfort actually from being outside and just working with the natural world and seeing what's going on seasonally. So when I lived on my farm, I gave you a little tour of my garden there, and obviously living on a farm, it was really big. And since I've moved house, my garden is now much smaller, but I've tried to pack in a lot of the things that I think are important actually for my own well-being and for health and for food. So I thought I'd share. So I hope you enjoy this little tour. We're going to start off, it's not very big, so it's not going to take very long, but we're going to start off with dahlias. And if you follow me on my Instagram, you will know that I love flower arranging and I love dahlias. Do you know, they are the gift that gives on giving. They flower for months, particularly if you deadhead them, a bit like roses. And just look at the beauty. This one is called Caffiolet. And the colours are incredible. You can get pinks and purples and oranges. I've got some darker ones here. These are just, this one looks a little bit like a firework. And they're just kind of regular garden dahlias. I love the dark purple, the majestic dark purple. This one I think is particularly splendid. They're also really good as cut flowers because they've got quite thick, almost succulent stems, so they last quite a long time if you bring them indoors. And these are also really amazing shape. This is called a pom-pom dahlia. But just look at that. I mean, that is a work of art, isn't it? You know, that could be hanging on some kind of museum gallery wall to be enjoyed. So yeah, you will often find me at the weekends or when I just need my 5 minutes. I'll come out here with a pair of scissors and do some deadheading and collect some dahlias. So I put in some raised beds. These are just old recycled wooden sleepers. The reason for that is partly it's a bit less backbreaking to garden, and also trying to keep the rabbits off. I love rabbits, but really I quite like just not to feed them in my vegetable patch. My courgettes have kind of spilled over here, but these are great. They keep coming, they keep coming. If you grow them, they grow into marrows. So you've got to kind of keep on top of them really. And then of course herbs were one of the first things that went in. So I've got some regular parsley, one of our richest natural sources of vitamin C. And then I've got flat leaf parsley. Rosemary. Rosemary is fantastic. I use this actually for flower arranging as well as for things like roast lamb or roast potatoes with garlic and rosemary. I have some thyme, again really good. I've just made some mushroom soup actually last week using fresh thyme. That was worked really well as a combo. Oregano, I love cooking Italian dishes, and oregano obviously is classic in Italian. It works really well with cheese and with tomatoes. And then chives, really good addition to salads. So those are kind of my staples. And then I have quite a lot of greens, so things like chard and lettuces. Lettuces haven't done too well. Onions are coming on. I've got some white skinned onions. And then over here I've got tomatoes. I've got different types of kale, so I try and grow a little bit of variety. So I've got some Cavolo Nero, which is incredibly rich in lots of nutrients and minerals. And I have regular kale here. There's a butterfly. Don't you laying your eggs on my kale. Thank you very much. Sometimes I'll spray them with a soap spray. I try and garden organically as much as possible, so we don't use pesticides, but it does mean inevitably that you are sharing your crops with some of the wildlife. And then I'm keen on alliums. So the allium family, that's things like leeks that I've got here, onions, garlic. They are very rich in the prebiotic fibre that our gut bugs love. There's lots of talk with all the biohackers talking about alliums. And then here I've got a bit more of the rainbow. So you often hear nutritionists and dietitians talk about eat the rainbow. Well, actually greens can give us quite a lot of the rainbow. So these are different types of chard. This is rainbow chard. So here, look at that colour. I mean, that is just amazing. I mean, bet you that's full of quercetin, which is a yellow polyphenol. And then I've also got some red chard here. And again, that's going to be full of these natural antioxidants. Over here, I've got the few beans. They're a little bit straggly, but I've just tried to cover them to stop the rabbits from eating them. And then beetroot, one of my favourites. So I'll just pull this one up here. So beetroot, obviously, you can cook the beetroot. It's good for salads. You can pickle it. Roasted beetroot. I just usually chuck a few bits of beetroot in the oven with a bit of olive oil for whatever I'm cooking. Beetroot, very high in nitric acid, nitric oxide, very good as for longevity, and I could talk for a long time about the benefits of beetroot. Perhaps I'll do that another time. But whatever you do, don't throw away the beetroot tops. If you do grow beetroot, or perhaps you can buy it like this from a farmer's market, because this, of course, is very rich in nutrients. You've got your plant polyphenols in here, and of course you've got the benefits of the greens as well. So beetroot is a really good one to grow. You can even grow it inside in pots or in troughs if you want to, because you've got not only the root, but you've got the stalks and you've got the leafy greens as well. And I love it so much that I try and have a bit of it going all the time. So if you can see here, these are the older beetroot plants, and then down here, planted a few weeks later, are the younger ones. So I've learnt not to plant everything in one go. It's like these little onions here. I've got red and white onions, and they're planted much later than the other onions. Otherwise you just get a glut of everything to use at the same time. I will leave that there, but I will come back and have it for my supper, because I want to show you something else before we go that I have in the corner of the garden. And this is something that I put in actually after going to the Chelsea Flower Show this year, and I think actually it won one of their awards. And I used to have a great big compost heap. You know, when I was at the farm, we had these huge compost heaps, and we used to use lots of manure and grass cuttings and leaf mould and all sorts of things. Well, obviously I don't have that luxury here. I have a much smaller space. And so I decided to look at a hot box, and a hot box is like a hot compost heap. So even in a really small space, a really small garden, even on a terrace, like a roof terrace or a balcony, you can have different sizes of hot boxes. So if you come here, I'll show you how it works. So this is mine. And the idea behind it is that with a compost heap, it does get warm naturally, but it takes quite a while. So it takes quite a while for all the organic material to rot down and produce that lovely liquid or manure that you're going to use, that mulch that you're going to use to nourish your fruits and veg and your flowers. So with this, it's insulated, so it speeds up the whole process. So you can actually, from putting in basics like you can see here, you know, old flowers, grass cuttings, bits of food waste, within 3 to 4 weeks it will turn itself into the most amazingly nutritious supplement for your plants. And what I do is I have just a paper bag here. This one has just come out of my kitchen, so that's got food scraps, food waste, and you just chuck it in like that, shut the lid and leave it to work its magic. And what happens is this all kind of falls downwards, bearing in mind that it's going to be quite hot. It's generating some heat, and if I open this inside, you'll see that's the kind of the mulchy, yeah, I mean, amazing amazing nutritional stuff that is being created naturally by those microbes who are just, I mean, they're working so hard in there, it's incredible. And then there's a little tap here, do you see? And I'll just show you. I'm not going to waste it, so I'm not going to take it off for very long. But if you see what comes out, hopefully there will be, yeah, do you see that? Look at that. Amazing. So that is the liquid, and then you can just catch it and keep it in a container. And you can use it neat, you can dilute it. I tend to dilute it and use it on those really hungry plants that need a bit of extra support. So for me, I'm using it on beans, tomatoes, courgettes, just to keep them going. So for me, this hot box is a bit like kind of vitamin supplements for me and for my well-being. This is well-being for my plants, and I just love being out here looking after the natural world. So have you got a garden? Have you got a balcony, a terrace? Do you use organic ingredients? Do you have any hints and tips for gardening more naturally, or just getting out generally into the big wide world? I would love to hear your comments and your favourites. You can leave a comment below, and I hope that this has been a little bit of respite from quite a strange and tricky time. But if you get the chance to get outside, I highly recommend it, and I look forward to seeing you back here next week. Bye for now.